Thank you for being here for our third unconference. My name is Betsy, and I am the director of the Jeannette Rankin Peace Center, and I welcome all of you here on behalf of the Peace Center and the committee that planned this event. Out beyond ideas of right doing and wrongdoing, there is a field. I will meet you there. Out beyond ideas of right doing or wrongdoing, there is a field. I will meet you there. We chose to put that quote on the poster because it speaks to the very essence of what it is that we need to do today. And in this, not just today, but in this day and age in our lives, in the lives of our planet and our country. It is also the essence of the Jeannette Rankin Peace Center that started in the basement of this very building 31 years ago to host a space for the reflection and the dialogue and the networking around what it is that the world needs and how is it that we can go about being what the world needs. So this is a continuation of those 31 years of work, and we are very happy to be able to have you all here to be part of these discussions. We live in a very divided country, I don't have to tell you that, and even people that supposedly, people in groups that are on the same side, there's still disagreement. It is still difficult. We are self-righteous many times. We are intolerant. We use name-calling sometimes. And our egos get in the way. The future of the world needs us to open that up and be different. To let go of being self-righteous, to let go of being right, to make room in a circle, to make room in the world for all perspectives. To learn to work together, to learn to let our egos move to the back so that we can work with all perspectives. Because there is no right and wrong. There is just a field where we need to meet and figure out how it is that we work together. The world needs both right doing and wrongdoing. The world needs all of us in all perspectives to find the way forward. We've tried to reflect that in our centerpiece today with a lot of people holding up a world. You know, a lot of times I think we think if we elect someone or we look to someone to be our leader, our hero, our savior, and that isn't what we need. The heroes, the saviors, the leaders are right here. All of us are the leaders, the heroes, and the saviors. We're all the people surrounding the world, holding it up, co-creating it together. Judging from the conversation before I said welcome and thank you for being here, the energy level, I think we're going to have some wonderful conversations today about what the world needs us to be, about how we can open up to other perspectives, about how we can learn to work better together. And I look forward to all of those conversations. We'll be explaining the process here in a little bit. I just want to let you know that there's several donors that have made today possible, that have offered food and drink and music and all kinds of things to make today possible. I have a poster down in the room down below that has the logos of all those donors. And I encourage you to take a look at it if you haven't already. We'll have a wonderful lunch, wonderful treats, and please make yourself comfortable and well-fed and nourished throughout the day so that your brains keep working and your hearts keep working. The bathrooms are straight across past the registration table, so you know where those are, and we'll be breaking out and then coming back to this room, and lunch will be served over here. So again, welcome, and thank you very much for being here. We have invited 4 people to do a very short little lightning keynote, and we've handpicked them to be people that can bring into our circle some energy and some inspiration for the conversations and the work that we are going to have. So I'm going to now turn it over to those 4 folks and let them just come up one after the other. We have invited Robert Rivers he's from Imagination Brewing Company. Many of you no doubt know him. Tricia Parks, who I just met today from the Bitterroot. And Dustin Monroe, who I met many months ago as he and I were at a refugee rally, or I guess it was an anti-refugee rally that we were attending. And then Quentin Robinson, who also I just met today, hopefully inspire us and energize us for the day. So I'd like to now turn it over to Robert, and we'll get started.
Good morning, everybody. Special thanks to Betsy and the Peace Center for having me here today. It's an honor. For those of you who don't know, my wife and I run Imagination Brewing, an educational center down on West Broadway. My background actually is in international humanitarian work, and so I spent 12 years in war zones around the world. So I guess much of what I'll say probably comes more from that than it does from beer. One of my favorite pop culture prophets, his name is Paul Hewson, better known as Bono, the lead singer for U2, sings, "There is no them, there is no them, there's only us." And I would agree with him that I think that interconnectedness, the us, that is reality. And I guess to be able to describe what reality is and what is real, what does actually connect us, I feel like I learned about 7 years ago. I was on a retreat with this famous theologian by the name of Richard Rohr. And Richard Rohr did research for 15 years from cultures, I think he said 250 cultures around the world, to find out what are the tenets of initiation. What are the things that all the cultures in the world try to teach people to be real human beings? And they're 5-fold. He said that he could synthesize from all the cultures in the world, he can kind of boil it down to 5 what he would call truths of initiation. And one of them is, life is hard. First one is, life is hard. The second one is, someday you are going to die. The third, you're thinking it's going to get better. All right, I'm in the valley, let's see the mountaintop. Comes at you with number 3, he says, you are not that important. Number 4, you're not in control. And finally, the world is not about you, you are about the world. And I think that if you could sum up what makes a human being real, are the ones that truly lean into those 5 truths. And so I guess when I think about what divides us into a world of us and them, I think oftentimes it's a failure to lean into those 5 truths. Being an American, I hope that you're not going to be too offended when I say this, but of all the countries I've been in, American society tends to not lean into these truths very well. And I think that that's what's produced racism and xenophobia and misogyny and bigotry and all these things on a national level that are really the leaves on the tree. It's not the roots. The roots are I think, our failure to really lean into these truths. And I think there's 2 main things that I observe in our culture that, again, divides the us and them and it stops us from leaning into these truths. And I think that's twofold. One of them, James Baldwin. How many of you have seen I'm Not Your Negro? It's an unbelievable documentary. If you haven't seen it, please watch it. But he talks about white Americans, and he says that a lot of the hatred and this disconnection in white Americans comes from a bottomless terror that even they do not understand. A bottomless terror. So I think one of these things that divides us, that doesn't allow us to lean into these truths, is a bottomless terror of these truths. That we will die someday. That life is hard. We try to, that we know we're important, right? All these things. I think it's a terror of that reality. And the second one is an addiction to comfort and security. I think that is not the reality of most of the world. I mean, there's so many statistics. 80% of the world lives on less than $10 a day. That is much more a reality than the reality that we see on our daily lives. And I think it's this fear of these truths and what it would bring to our lives if we actually accepted it, and also this addiction that we have as a culture to comfort and security that keeps us from being real, that keeps us from being one with us, that divides us into the us and them. And so I guess, as the first speaker, I guess I would probably end with a question, because I don't have any of this figured out any more than any of you. But I would say, as a question, I think what will allow us to become a more mature and adult civilization is our ability to look courageously at these truths. That life is hard. That someday we're going to die. That we're not that important. That we're not in control. And that the world's not about us, that we are about the world. And I think that if we can do that, then we have the chance of growing together and creating, or I'd say living into that real reality, which is there is only us. But if we don't do that, we'll keep that division between us and them. So I would hope that throughout this day, that all of us can work together, I guess, to live into that a little bit more and enhance that reality that is, there's no them, there's only us. Thanks so much.
Used to having a leash on. My name is Tricia Parks, and I'm from the Hamilton, Montana area. And the story that I want to share with you today, I hope that you can just take a little seed and plant it in your field of your life. And my story begins, I'm standing at the kitchen sink, and I'm just washing a mountain of dishes. Then I hear this agitated and defiant scream. It's coming from the living room, where my 2 teenage boys are keeping an eye on their 3-year-old little brother. Naturally, I have to investigate. My hands were still dripping with that warm, soapy water as I began heading towards the situation. I did not get far before I encounter my very distraught baby boy. Mama, brothers called me a name. Honey, what name did they call you? They called me Caucasian. Honey, you are Caucasian, according to society anyway. Oh, I don't want to be Caucasian, I just want to be Isaac. After a minute, I really began to understand what he was saying. See, he had just been placed into the confinement of this little box with a tag or a label on it. And in his infant's wisdom, Isaac knew that he is, that we are more than our labels. Wait, don't we all just want the opportunity to go tagless? To just be? Don't get me wrong, I understand labels, they're important. And they actually help us process all of this information that we literally get bombarded with on a regular basis. But it's the labeling that is dangerous, because it just sends this division in our lives. In the 1930s, there was a linguist by the name of Benjamin Whorf, and he proposed this hypothesis. And it was simply this. A label is not just some idle placeholder. It actually determines what we see. I think he was right. Because when we begin to categorize someone according to the color of their skin, the clothes they wear, or even the car that they drive, we don't just hurt them by facilitating society's great divisions. We limit ourselves and our ability to authentically experience the nature of their spirit. My eldest son once gave me like the most amazing compliment. It was one of those Dear Diary sort of days. He said, "Mom, you know what I really like about you? Is you don't care who a person is. It doesn't matter if they're a homeless guy in rags, a rich guy in a suit. All you see is their spirit. No labels, no pretense. It's like kind of their tagless." My actions had that kind of an impact on my son's social awareness. It begins right here. And then he followed that up by calling me delightfully dorky. And seriously, that is very, very true. But it feels like lately we have this insatiable desire to label everything. We tag our people, our food, our cars, and it all begins with what's your sign. Are you an Aquarius, an Aries, a Cancer, a Capricorn, a Gemini, a Leo, a Libra, a Pisces, Sagittarius, Scorpio, Taurus, or a Virgo? Emo, goth, millennial, nerd, yuppie, geek, slut, jock, freak, scumbag, dork, white trash, redneck, a valley girl, oh, and that chick. A loser, a boozer, a delusional, perfectionist, an extremist, a terrorist, smart, slow, what did they know? A stoner, a loner, oh, and of course the class clown, all the way to the lighty about town. When it comes to our food, fat is where it's at. There's trans fat, saturated fat, monosaturated fat, polyunsaturated fat, regular fat, fat-free. Just keep your fat away from me. Sodium, carbs, calories, protein, extra lean, sugar, sugar, sugar. Not even our cars are immune. SUV, compact, subcompact, light duty, heavy duty, King Ranch, all-wheel drive, XL, XLT, but does it have a Hemi? No wonder people are struggling with their identities. There are so many that we are forced to choose from. The human spirit, it is so complex and it is most certainly dynamic. It deserves more than to be placed into the confinement of a box with a tag on it. Going tagless means having freedom from society's preconceived notion of who you are as an individual. What I want from each of you today is to look at the people in this room, at the people in your lives. Look at them with your infant's wisdom. Allow them to go tagless. But if you must put a label on it, I shall embrace the tag. Tricia, mother of Kai, Travis, and Isaac, wife to Amos, the delightfully dorky Caucasian.
That was pretty tough to follow those two. I don't know where to go with it. I took both my comedy and serious and intellectual. So I guess I'll just go. I usually go here. Just like to thank you, Senator, and everything for inviting me. This is really an honor to come speak this morning. Say Oki, and then Kante Washte. My name is Dustin Monroe. I am Askabi Bakani. You are on Bakani land. I know a lot of the, what do you call it? CSKT, they will say this is their land, this is our land. It's a tribal battle going on for centuries. But on another thing, I am also a Sinnaboyan Nakota. And so my family ranged all the way from Fort Belknap to Standing Rock Reservation. And that's why I come with this today. I was there since last June, off and on. And so things like this, I understand the power of it. That we did have a lot of allies over there, and my aunties and my family have to endure the racism. They call it the Deep North now. I don't know if you guys know that, but that's what North Dakota is referred to as now. And that's only one state over. And so my family that do live in eastern Montana, they deal with the Deep North over there. The Deep North is coming into Montana. Just to let you guys know, it's not something that is just down south. It's not just Kentucky. It's not just Alabama. Like, you know, things like that. I think we just try to say that it's not our problem. We do have the Deep North up here. And it's people like you that actually are the change that can get rid of things like this. You know, there a lot of people in movements, they don't. I'm going to come with mine from my real perspective of what I've dealt with growing up here in Montana. I've seen the world's issues. I'm also an Iraq veteran. Combat veteran. I did a couple tours overseas, fought in conflicts all around the world, different continents. I love my country, but at the same time, I've been ashamed of my country. And I can say that because they fight the poor to go to wars. And that's one of the truest lines I've ever heard. Even as a recruiter, I never recruited out of good communities. I wouldn't recruit out of a community like this. I recruit like down the north side. That's where recruiters go. When I was in New York, I recruited at the inner cities of Brooklyn. And that's where I went, and that's where my little list told me to go. And that's the truth, and that's what's happening. And so, it don't matter what color you are either. You know, when you're in the military, it's all poor. It doesn't really matter about race. We all fight together. And for some reason, in the military, we can work together, but when we get out here in the real world, we can't. And we have divisions. Because even among veterans, there's different veterans. We're not all the same. Half of my friends, I've lost contact because they are racist. And so I've lost contact with them. But living here in Montana, one of the things I think a lot of people, we look at it and we look at the world's problems, we don't think those are in our own backyard. We have those in our backyard. Up in Kalispell, Montana, some Native American students were told that they couldn't wear the regalia, couldn't wear the feathers. For me, I don't say to ask permission. I wasn't one of the big ones for the bill that got regalia because I don't ask permission, I do. I never asked my children in Missoula. We had one day she come up here. And all we did is say, we're going to wear them. Our children are going to wear them. And we never had that issue here because we just do. We accept. And that's one of the things, and we're trying to spread that around the state of Montana. Some of the other stuff that I've dealt with in the mall in Great Falls, Montana, if you were with 4 Native Americans, you got broken up as we were walking through the mall. We couldn't walk through 4 Native Americans in Great Falls Mall. You can't do that. That's considered a gang. If there's 4 white kids walking together, they can do that. This starts at an early age when we're growing up, and this isn't like New York or something like that, LA, this is right here in Great Falls, Montana. And so that's one of the rules that used to happen. Now, when we're walking in Great Falls, there's 4 of us or 5 of us, we get stopped by the police. When we're walking over there, we get profiled. I got profiled when I was growing up living there. I still get profiled here once in a while, you know, for the way I dress or if I'm with friends. Or I have friends that are homeless. You know, in and out. So when we talk about, yes, you're talking about going and talking to people. What I do is I go and I actually talk with the homeless because they're part of our community to see what affects them. Because I also work in voter engagement. And so, right, nobody ever talks to them, like what are their issues? People don't understand how much they read. People throw away newspapers all the time. Those people actually cover themselves in newspapers, but they read the newspaper. So they know what's going on. And these are our problems in our own backyard that we have to fix. I know we always want to fix the world's problems, but we got problems right here in Montana. 1979 is when the Native American Religious Freedom Act was passed. Native Americans couldn't even practice their own religion here. We don't call it religion, we call it spirituality. And so that's another thing that we have, that I'm the first generation sun dancer in my family. My father and all them, they would go and do it and they would get ticketed. My grandmother, she was beat by the Catholic Church. She was tied to a heater right here in Montana. And this is a legacy that we have. But a lot of times we don't want to be truthful, even in Helena. When I go to Helena and I lobby, and I see all like their big old, that statue up there, that horse, right? That reminds me of the Calvary. Some people that tried colonizing me. And when I go in there, just to get Native Americans in there, we had to fight just for those little paintings. But people don't understand. The little things matter. You coming here today, this morning, you matter, right? You're creating the change that Montana needs. And when you change Montana, you change the world. And that's one of the biggest things that I know firsthand, because my generation of Native Americans, we're actually speaking up. My grandmother and all them, if they spoke up, they were just in there surviving. We were in genocide. Native Americans make up 1% of the population. We make up, on a good number here, we probably make up 6 to 7. We're the only race that has to actually show a blood quantum. We're us and dogs, right? Now, how is that not racism, that we think that's okay in this country, that we have to still prove who we are? Because a federal treaty, people don't really understand what a federal treaty is. A treaty is just agreement. And that's one of the things that when people are saying, well, we're giving all these Indians all this health care, and we're giving these Indians money for education, we're doing all this. Well, the United States government spent millions of dollars, and so did this state spent millions of dollars trying to get rid of us and our language and make us all the same. I think the biggest thing that you can do as an ally is understand that you're not helping me, you're helping us. And come to that model, get rid of like the white savior model, you know? Because when I got to the Standing Rock and I did an NBC interview, and they followed me around while I was over there for a little while. I had one of the guys, other veterans, come up and tell me he was going to take a bullet for me, right? And he was going to help me to save me. And I said, you know, that time's over. Like, I don't need saving. We've been here. We're holding us down. We're protecting America's water right now. And that's what we were doing at Standing Rock. We weren't just trying to protect our water. We were protecting the nation's water. Thank you. And then one of the things, though, like, once we were able to get people to understand that whole concept, my issue is our issue. It's your issue. It's our children's issue. And thinking in the seventh generation is what a lot of us do already. But just like you said, I like that, labels. And thinking it's just me. But we think like this. And so what I would challenge everybody in here to do is think outside the box and how can you help here, today, Montana? How can you help that, right? How can you help out here in our issues? How can you support people that are doing it, that aren't just being pro quo? Leaders that are pro quo. We do have pro quo leaders in the state. How can you support the ones that are willing to make the true change and have the courage to make the change? Because when I was over in Standing Rock, Montana Highway Patrol came over there. One of the worst nights that we ever had. The Montana police were over there. I went after that. I came back and I rallied on the governor of the state, who I went and campaigned for to get in there. Because he said he didn't know what he signed. So keep everybody accountable, but remember the problems that we have in our backyard here. So look to your own community, and I would challenge you is to talk about that today. How can we make Montana better for all of us? Thank you.
Didn't know you were going to have to start that early, huh?
Hello. How's everyone doing? Good. My name is Quentin Robinson. I started a company called I Am Special Effects, which is based off of my dance name. Starting off with school. I'm from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Grew up in Miami. Bounced around to many locations growing up. 5 of us, single mom, 4 boys, 1 girl. I'm the youngest, the smallest of everyone in the household, which is not a good thing at all. And with that, football, track, basketball. basketball, everything. We specialized in everything growing up because we had to. That was our only way out. Our only way out of sports. So, got a scholarship, partial scholarship, just knew it. Hey, I'm going to the NFL, I'm going somewhere, I'm not gonna stay here in Overtown, Miami. So, I ended up going to the Marine Corps 5 days after graduation. And that was a 5-day decision. Walked in on Monday, talked to the recruiter. He was telling me, oh, the Marine Corps could, I don't care what the Marine Corps can do for me. When's the next plane leaving? He said Friday. I was on that plane on Friday. I asked him, I told him, if you can get me on that plane, I'll go. Flew out Friday. No one knew. 2 of my brothers knew. My mom knew. No one else. Just took off. 10 years later, just getting ready to get out of the Marine Corps. From Bagram, Kandahar, Leatherneck, Africa, Djibouti, just many locations, different tours. Joined through MARSOC, my third year in, and did MARSOC, which is Marine Corps Special Operations Command, for about 6 years. But one thing that I continued to do the entire time, no matter where I was, no matter what location I flew into, no matter what time of day it was, if I had a break, I was dancing. Every single time. No matter which country we flew into, the turmoil, anything that was going on in that area, they had music. And they had dancing. Every location I've gone into. So, with that, I spoke to my mom maybe about a month after getting out of the Marine Corps, and she told me, if you're not going to do what you love, you're wasting time. Love what you do. If you're going to wake up and do it daily, love it. You're wasting your time if you don't love what you do. So, I went to an event called The Hatch. If any of you know Elkie Galveston in town,
Yep.
beautiful, amazing woman, right? So, with that, I go to an event and my mind's blown, completely blown. It was me being transformed in that moment at this event called Hatch. Definitely look that up. Hatch. H-A-T-C-H. Look that up. 3 days after leaving Hatch, I get a phone call. Hey, we're going to Africa. We're getting ready to go to Africa, American Refugee Committee. We would like you to come if you can make it. When are you leaving? 2 weeks. Okay, I'm coming. Sure. Knee-jerk reaction. That's me all the way. I'm on my way. So I grab one camera, I pack a bag, and we fly out. I get to Africa and, hey, I'm gonna create a documentary out here. I'm gonna create a dance documentary out here. Why? No clue. No clue. But as I was there, it slowly started to hit me. It slowly started to hit me. As I danced, as I connected with everyone, as I met, as I talked, as I went and just shook everyone's hand, I wasn't part of that culture. They looked exactly like me. I couldn't identify with them. I didn't speak their language. They didn't speak my language. And I can tell that they were looking at me completely different. Because as an African American, you go to Africa, you're African American. You're lesser. You're not a true blood over there, right? So, okay, why is that? I go back to Africa and you're not welcome. I go back to America, you're still kind of not welcome. So it's one of those things, is like, all right, how can we fix this? How can I get around this obstacle? I was in Iraq, and I saw Pakistani, and someone from India dancing. Blew my mind. I don't know if you know the history, but they were dancing. No words, just movement. So I took it upon myself to I didn't speak to anyone. I turned on music over in Africa, turned the knob all the way up, set speakers up outside in the open field. 20 came, 100 came, 1,000 came, 2,000, 3,000. Next thing you know, I look up, there's about 7,000 people in the field with me. And that number kept growing and growing and growing until we had about, I want to say 12,000 refugees in Naka Valley Refugee Settlement. Dancing. Great time. And something hit me right there. Oh, let me go live. So I contacted a few of my buddies back at home, told them to go to the schools. Hey, connect to all of our old teachers, especially in the dance departments. Okay, they were on it. So I took as many of the refugees as I could that night, and we went live. We connected with students here in the U.S., refugees. No dialogue. Turned on music. We started dancing. They all learned the same exact routine. No words. Smiling and laughing at each other. Right afterwards, I opened up the dialogue. They were talking, asking questions, friend requesting, everything across the board. Through movement is a universal language. Art is a universal language. Everyone in here has that capability to use a universal language, whether it's art, as far as drawing, music, singing, dancing, communicating. That's the way we communicate. Before we had a Facebook profile where we could live through, you don't have to say a word to anyone. You can be friends with everyone in this room and walk past them daily. Like everything on their page, but never say a word to them on the street. That's the direction that we were going in. And what I had the chance to do was to take that virtual identity, that picture with a bunch of words under it, and the 30,000 photos that you took just to get that one, just to show that glamour shot with caption that you're having so much fun, but you just got done sweating all the way up that mountaintop just to pose. It's not true. It's not true. Find ways to walk with those people. Find ways to make your way up to the mountaintop with those people. Don't just follow through the screen. When you see someone, stop, talk to them, engage. Engage. You will never know your potential until someone does this to you. And then I say, hey, come here. No, come here. All right, friends now. Let's see. Right there.
This is the scary.
Yep, that guy, right? Yes, that guy. Yes. All right, so just to show you all the difference in, you're sitting over there, you're sitting right here. Have you all spoke to each other today? Not once? All right, so I want to do something with you all real fast, if that's okay. All right, so I'm going to do something. I'm going to take maybe about 1 minute of your time real fast, all right? We're going to step back here for a second. Everyone in here, step away from the person that you came here with and sit next to someone else and just introduce yourself. Just switch it up. Get away from the people. So,
just went over. I didn't give them a lot, all right? I didn't explain a lot to them. It was more visual, all right? All right, so this is a small cut, all right? So right over, all right? We're going. So we're gonna go to that cut. All right? So with the movement too. 5, 6, yeah, 1, 2, 3. Let me go over to this side, same way we were. Go over here, and we do the count before, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go the count, and then I'm gonna go to that wall. Okay? So here we go. Now, that entire thing wasn't about them doing it in a professional manner or in a professional way at all, right? These are 3 people that has never met. I've never met. Some of them probably met, but never met. But there you are. We're not talking about forcing that engagement of you wanting to see or know more about these guys. We're dancing. Everyone's lit up with a smile in here. And at the same time, feet tapping, you're swaying back and forth, you're into it. And with that, it changes your internal feeling. It just changes everything that's happening in that moment. So, give these guys a round of applause. And it builds a level of trust. It builds a level of trust that, again, if we're just walking down the street and I stop these 3 and said, hey, let's go pop rock in the corner somewhere. It's not going to have the same results. But at the right time and in the right opportunities, we can engage on every level. And I want to challenge you 3, sometime today, teach 3 more people what you learned. At least 3. So if they haven't come up to you, approach those 3 and say, teach me something. Teach me your ways, all right? Ask them to teach you something, all right? Just engage. The more we engage, the more we can be on the same page. That's not just with dancing, that's with everything. The more we engage. Face your insecurities, face everything that you have internally. Face that. That's where you find your strengths. Opposition is beautiful because those moments of success, those rare moments, they wouldn't be so great. Face opposition. Head on. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Robert and Tricia and Dustin and Quentin. Let's see. Lean in, engage, move beyond labels, get involved, make Montana better. I don't know, after listening to those 4 folks, how we could help but have a successful day today, how we could help but have some conversations that matter and conversations that move us forward as a person and as a community. So thanks to all 4 of you for setting such a great stage for us. We are gonna now go into letting you know a little bit about how today will work and the instructions and that. We recognize that you all have been invited here and you've accepted that invitation, and you are the experts. You have brought what is important to you in your heart, in your head, and we're going to open this up so that we can hear and engage with all of that. And to do that, I'm going to invite up Kris Bayer. I was going to call her my hero, and she spoiled my thunder there, but you know, sometimes we all get blinders on in our work and in our life. We have an idea that we're kind of doing okay, and we know what we're doing, and we know the way forward, and we're open-minded and doing all the right things, right? Kris has been one that helped me see that my blinders were still blinders, and opened those up a little bit for me to say, in her courage and bravery to say, Betsy, you don't have it right. You still got blinders on. That's not exactly it. You need to open up. You need to be a little more, whatever. And she has helped me to see a bigger picture in a good way.
Good for you, Kris.
She is. My husband would like lessons, I think. Kris is my hero because she does help me see a bigger picture beyond my own footsteps to other perspectives and other worlds, and helps me to see beyond the borders that I have in my life. So I've appreciated that. I've appreciated working with her these last 3 or 4 years. She's a great help and a great expert in this open space technology that she will be leading us through. So, Kris?
Wow, I didn't expect that. She said I stole her thunder because earlier I called her my hero. Because Betsy has taught me a lot about bridging the gaps and really connecting with people we disagree with. And I just value that so tremendously. And I think that's a beautiful example for all of us to treat people well, without labels, just love people, see their spirit, be with people, and realize what we are doing as individuals here in Montana. I mean, as an individual right here, what do I do every day? Am I building peace? Am I building friendships? Am I treating people well? Well, so this is kind of a shift because I'm going to explain to you a little bit about how open space works. But first, I'd love for you to look around the room. This isn't about me. So look at the other people in this room and really see them and really see, because these people are the resources for you today. These people might have the answers that you're looking for today. Maybe some people you know, maybe some people you don't know. Because it's about us. This is a unique experience that will never happen again. With these people, these same people that are in this room, probably won't congregate in the same way ever again. This is a unique experience. There's a book called 100 Chances, and it's talking about the opportunities that show up in our life. I don't want to miss those opportunities. You have a lot of opportunities in this room to meet people, to be with people, to learn something, and to share something. Because we all have something to offer, we all have something to receive. So take those opportunities today. Our theme, what brought us together? Beyond us and them, what is possible? What is possible? So hopefully we'll discover that today. And I just want to let you know that Kim set up a possibility poster downstairs, and you can post some of the things that you've thought about. What is possible? Open space is a tool to do this, to get us from where we are here now to where we want to go. What is open space? Well, that agenda right there is pretty open. And we're gonna create it today. We're gonna fill it in and we're gonna have a great day. Harrison Owen started this idea of open space, I believe 1993. He had pulled off a 4-day conference and did an evaluation after the conference and found out that it was the coffee breaks that were the best part of the meeting. So this is like lots of different coffee breaks that we're gonna have today. And the way it works is that soon I will invite you to the center where those papers are and the pens. And if you have something very passionate, something you want to share with this community, write your issue on the paper, put your name on there, and then we'll stand up and you'll take the mic and share what that is. And then you'll get one of these little blue stickers off the wall and post it on the grid somewhere. But before we do that, I want to call your attention to a couple things. There's a news board right there on the wall, and that's where we're going to post all the proceedings and notes from each of the rooms and discussions. So, room A, if you see that A on the wall there, is going to be in this room, and there's a clipboard in each room that you'll record your title, your name, and take notes. So either you as facilitator or somebody, thank you, Tessa. So either you or somebody in your group needs to take notes so that we can track kind of what happened today. And then that can be publicized to all of us. There's a map over there on the wall. And you'll see A is in this room where that circle is. Room B will be in the sanctuary. And then C, D, E, and F are like the polar opposite of this building. They're all the way past the bathrooms, but there should be a sign and it should be easy to find. Lunch this year is going to be a little bit different. It's a half hour. You can, and it'll be here, grab your lunch and you can take it to one of the sessions if you want. There'll be 5 sessions, they're each an hour long. There's 7 different rooms, so you can post that, you can post your issue wherever you want. You may have to take chairs to the rooms. There are some chairs downstairs. And then at 4:30, we'll reconvene in here for a closing circle. I think that's it.
The law of 2 feet,
Yeah.
and bumblebees and butterflies.
That's what's next. So open space has 5 principles now. It used to be 4, now it's 5. And it has the law of 2 feet. Okay, the 5 principles. Whoever comes are the right people. We're the right people. Whenever it starts, it is the right time. Because creativity doesn't just show up sometimes. Sometimes we have to wait for it. Sometimes we have to jump on it when it's right there in front of our face so we don't miss it. Whatever happens is the only thing that could happen. So based on all of you here today, and based on what your issues are, what happens is the only thing that could ever happen. Because this is it, right? Whenever it's over, it's over. You know, sometimes it's over before it's supposed to be over. And so honoring that and paying attention to that is a really good thing. Because if we've lost the energy, if we've lost the passion, why stay? Maybe it's time to create something new. So whenever it's over, it's over. And maybe it's not over when it's time to be over. So maybe you can graciously move to another location if there's another session in that spot. So be mindful of that. But if it's not over, take it somewhere else and let it continue. It doesn't have to be over just because the clock says, okay, it's 3:30 or whatever. Then, wherever it happens is the right place. So maybe it's not in one of those rooms, maybe it's somewhere else, but that's okay. The law of 2 feet is kind of interesting. It's this idea of mobility, and that we all have 2 feet and we can all get up and go. So if we're not contributing somewhere, or if they're not contributing to us, maybe it's time to move somewhere else. And that's okay. Because this isn't like school where you have to sit in your desk or you're going to get in trouble. Nobody's going to yell at you or say anything if you get up and go. And what's really cool about that, I think, is this idea of the egotists. Because if everybody gets up and leaves, or if there's a potential that everybody gets up and leaves and they aren't going to listen to me anymore, maybe I should change my tune. Right? The other thing is what if nobody shows up to my party? What if I call a session and nobody shows up? So maybe you had the right idea, but maybe it's the wrong time. Or maybe it's an opportunity for you to contemplate on that yourself. I host Socrates Cafe down in the Bitterroot, and when I first started it, there were a couple times nobody showed. And I had to decide what I was going to do, and then all those thoughts come in. You know, I'm a horrible person. Why didn't somebody show up or whatever? Don't we all have those thoughts sometimes? But maybe it's time to contemplate. Maybe it's time to join somebody else. So it truly is open space, and this is truly your day for you to bring forth the conversations you want to have, the conversations that matter to you. And then the last one, be surprised. Be prepared to be surprised. You never know what shows up. You know, if we have expectations, it can be a real limit on what shows up in front of us. So I challenge you to drop your expectations and look for those opportunities. Look to be surprised. Be surprised at what shows up. You never know. We don't know what's possible. So let's dream together and let's create together. Okay, so review the process. Oh, one more thing about the law of 2 feet that's interesting is that bumblebees and butterflies show up. So the bumblebee is one who might go from one session to another session, to another session, to another session. They're the ones that pollinate. They take ideas from one room to another room. And you never know what they're going to bring. And so just because somebody gets up and goes from your meeting doesn't mean you're having a horrible meeting. It just might be it's time to go somewhere else. And they take that information to another group that can be really helpful. And then also the butterfly. The butterfly is somebody who might not go to any session. They flit around here and there, maybe, and they just look pretty. And maybe somebody joins them. And again, you never know what might show up. So, to review what we're going to do, is we're gonna fill up that grid back there or not. It's up to you. But if you have an issue that you're passionate about, a question, a conversation, a topic that you want to bring forth to the group, come forward, get a pen and paper and write it down. And then you'll take the microphone, make sure your name's on it, by the way, and take the microphone and tell the group what your conversation's gonna be about.
Right big.
Write big is helpful, unless you have lots of words. I suppose you could write small as you go if that's a problem. But make sure your name goes on there. And then you're gonna tell the group, you'll take the microphone and tell the group what your conversation is. And then you're gonna take your paper over there and get one of those blue tabs, like this, right there. And you'll post your paper on the grid somewhere. Okay? And then when everybody's done presenting what their topic is, and our grid is full or semi-full or whatever, then I'll give you the next instruction. It'll be short, but we'll have an opportunity to rearrange and do some changes, but I want to just share that. How many of you have been in an open space before? Okay, looks like maybe half. So half of us have done this before. Okay?
Explain how the grid works, the rooms and the hours.
All right. So as you see on the top, I have A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Those are the different rooms. A is in this room, B is in the sanctuary down there, and then the others are way at the other end past the bathrooms. And then we have 5 sessions. If you look down on the left, we have session 1 that's going to start about 11 o'clock. Lunch will be 12 to 12:30. It's just a half hour. So it'll be time to grab your food and then go to the next session that you want to be in, which starts at 12:30. And those are an hour long, and then we'll reconvene again here at 4:30. Okay. Anything else?
I guess it just means there are 7 people or 7 spaces. Do they repeat, or are there 7 times 5, 35?
35 possibilities. And I guess I should say, if you want to give 2 sessions, just make sure that they're at different times and different places.
Unless you're good at trying.
Right, right. Okay. Well, yeah, so after we set up the grid initially, you'll sit back down so that you make sure you're hearing everybody else's sessions that they're offering. And then we'll break one more time to, I'll let you know, but we'll break one more time to rearrange or do some changes just in case there's a duplicate and 2 people want to combine a session and so forth. There'll be an opportunity after we fill the grid. Okay, Betsy has something to say.
Something I forgot. There are some volunteers today that are maybe going to be butterflies, I don't know. But at any rate, there is a whole core of folks that I want us to be sure and appreciate because they are behind the scenes making our lunch and keeping the coffee and the tea filled and the water filled, and they're back in the kitchen right now probably chopping or something. But if you see a volunteer who's serving you lunch or something, be sure and appreciate them. Thanks, guys.
All right, the circle is open.
Here to here. The interested. It takes the energy from you. So do you think it self-selects then? Lose the importance of
Okay. Hey, my name is Catherine, and I'm very, very much an introvert. So even coming here today was a challenge. And I know that I'm not alone, but I also know that not only is our society, I feel like, kind of geared towards extroverts, that in terms of like talking about engaging, like that's actually scary for introverts and people like me who are shaking my face. So I would really like to have a conversation with other introverts or people who have ideas for how introverts can engage in ways that are really scary. I'm gonna go to someone else now. Do you want to announce yours? Suzanne?
Oh, sorry.
Now make sure you announce it first.
So I've noticed that peace is often set up on a continuum from peace to war as an opposite poles. And I'd like to explore peace as its own state, independent of and not defined as the absence of war or conflict. Peace is its own thing. What is it? What could it be?
I'm putting a sign up that says, end corporate personhood. This, corporate profits are destroying the earth. Put an end to global warming, war, and poverty. If we can get money out of politics, it'll go a long way in solving most of our problems of education, environmental damage, and everything else. So I have two suggestions that we all should do. Move to amend, and what was the other one? Wolf path. So I'm going to put a sign up there and try to get money out of politics.
Hi, I want to talk about inclusive language, so how we can maybe, even in a really subtle way with the words that we say, make people feel included, whether that's through gender and sexuality, whether that's through understanding generational gaps, but how we can use the way we speak to bring people in as opposed to keep those boundaries in place.
Hi, I'm Teresa Jacobs, and on Inauguration Day, I made myself watch what was happening there, and I also had a side conversation on Facebook in which this term, the persisters, I thanked someone for being a persister, and right then and there, I said, the persisters, wow, that's something, and I went and got the domain name for the persisters.org.net and .com, and there's been something birthing. It's taken me a while, but I've invited people to my home on Wednesday from different political parties. I'm hoping for a Republican and Libertarian still, but I've opened the conversation. No, it's wonderful. And I've had a conversation with the local Republican Women's Committee. And I'm going to be on their mailing list, so making these bridges. But the goal is to find common sense values for non-negotiable priorities to save and hold our community, our state, and our nation and world, and among and between all the political parties and independents. So something that it has its own life that will inform the parties that are confused right now.
I'm Kent Watson. I'm a landscape architect here in town, and I'm somebody who works with the natural world all the time, and I'm just stunned at how little most people know about our natural world, and the fact that everything that we do is based upon the nature that's around us, and it's become more and more apparent as we proceed through this chaotic time that the people that are in our so-called leadership positions have no appreciation or understanding of that. So I'd like to figure out how we can engage more people into understanding and appreciating our natural world as the basis for all life.
I'm going to follow Ken because this one's related. This is 350 Montana, and I've been on the organizing committee from the beginning of that, and I'm interested in having a conversation of what I can do to help deal with the environment and move us to a green future. And so there's also some valve turners, Fort Benton. These are 7 people. They're going to have a thing on the 18th, and so we can have that conversation too about people showing up and supporting that heartfelt kind of thing.
I'm Kim Maynard, and I've just been thinking a lot about I have a view or an opinion, and I hold it so adamantly, and somebody has a totally different one, and they hold it so adamantly, it's like, what's right? I mean, and can we get there? So in looking at that and saying, there's something much bigger than beyond us and them, is that field in which we're going to meet. But is there a way to look at this at a higher place? So after lunch here, I put up, it's called What Makes the Us, Us, and the Them, Them. And I just did a little bit of, kind of Googling various things on neuroscience, psychology, virtual reality, and so have a few things just to offer, but mostly it's a discussion. And ultimately it gets to how to grow empathy. So you're invited.
My name is Charlie, and I kind of have a similar topic. I've been noodling on this for a while, and I keep coming back to Charles Eisenstein wrote a lovely book called The More Beautiful World Our Hearts Know Is Possible. And I've long thought that we don't really think hard about what that more beautiful world looks like. What do we want that more beautiful world to be? And the kind of the overlay of this conversation is, does everything belong in that more beautiful world that I believe is possible? I mean, does racism belong there? Does sexism? Does militarism? I mean, how does our world really incorporate all those things? And if it doesn't, then what? Then we have a conversation about sources of values, and I kind of have this John Mayer problem. Everything is his and everything else. It seems to me like there's not a thread here that you can pull out. But I would love to have a conversation about this if folks want to.
So I'm Jenny, and as we heard in the Lightning Keynotes, when we move together, we connect. And when we sing together or chant together, we breathe together. And that connection actually is extremely useful for the military to help harmonize unity. And it can be used also for peace. I'm going to invite you to come and do dances of universal peace after you've had a lot of conversations. Come and move and breathe together. They're really simple. And you can sit out at any time, so don't be intimidated. And we'd love to have you come to Dances of Universal Peace for an hour and then bridge that way. There's circle dances with live music, and we teach it right there, so it's like kind of really easy. Okay, who's next?
So I invite you to come practice laughter as a mode to connect and solve concerns. So I'll be in the sanctuary if you want to come and laugh. Making it look like you guys want to totally laugh. Very similar to dancing, the connection we make through laughter. And, so come and laugh with me.
So I'm a highly sensitive and emotional person, and I think about often in those kinds of difficult conversations how our emotions kind of hijack the conversation and how we don't speak from that place of love and empathy and understanding because we get upset or angry or caught up in our own emotions and don't even realize it. So I want to have a conversation about how to understand and manage our emotions in those kinds of situations so that we can better connect with each other and not get caught in our own egos and emotions as much.
Hello everybody, my name is Suzanne Molina Kay. I would really like to engage in a conversation about owning our white privilege. Dustin spoke about the impact of colonization on Native people, and we're a part of that, so I invite you to dig deep. It's a hard conversation, and I hope we can bring ourselves to the table for that one.
This may need to be combined with some of the other stuff so I can be part of all these things. But I was just interested in engaging folks in some talk about what are the skills and opportunities to engage across the divisions. How can we do that? Because we group together so much in our society. What ideas do people have about how we can bring other people together? Then what are the skills that we need to have to do that, to have those conversations? So.
You're allowed to come up with an idea later in the day.
Yeah, we just so that you know, we can always add more throughout the day. So if you think of an idea later on, you want to post it, go ahead and post it. Are there any other ones? Before I give you the last instruction.
I would like to have a conversation about meeting hate with love and still being able to take care of oneself, not from a place of fear, but from a place of strength.
Anybody else?
I haven't written it up yet. I'm going to take open spaces, that's okay.
Yes.
A couple of things. I'm Daniel McManus. One thing I'd like to do is sort of not directly related to this theme, but as a senior and looking at seniors and looking at society's changing, I'm looking at intergenerational co-housing and a contemplative place for seniors to come together and support each other as we age rather than aging alone. And I don't think society does a very good job of providing that for us. So if anybody wanted to have that conversation, my wife and I just relocated back to Missoula, was raised here, went to university here. Anyway, it'd be a nice conversation to have, whatever age. And we actually had a second one. I'm up here. The second one is I've been doing some work with Har Shalom and Quakers on a thing called The Power of Connection, which is based on some work from Haley Newey Schleifer, who are Holocaust survivors that I met 10 years ago. And they have a ritual called Crossing the Bridge. And it's also based on neuroscience as well as psychology. And there's some steps to that that I'd be glad to share. And been doing that work at Har Shalom since December. And we're also now working with ACLU and doing some work with Native Americans with that work. And the university is interested in some of that work too. So anybody wants to join that conversation, we talk about the three invisible connectors between us and how we can start to move in that way. So those are the two things.
Anybody else? Last minute? Last call? Okay, now we're going to take 10 minutes or so and rearrange or combine or whatever is needed so that you're happy with the agenda. Okay, so if there's a topic that you want to combine, maybe somebody had a topic that was really similar to yours and you want to do it at the same time, you can. Don't move anything without permission of whoever's name is on there. But this is your opportunity to negotiate, to make any adjustments that need to happen, and then we can break out to our first session. Okay, any questions? All right, go for it. And like I said, if you think of a topic you want to add to the board later, go ahead.